And I can imagine you watching this video and thinking, oh, I really hope that my partner is a good partner because otherwise I have to break up with them. And I just want you to know you never have to break up. Don't think that I can determine whether your relationship is right or whether your partner is a good partner or not. These are just some signs that you can look for in your partner or in a potential partner that might help. But it doesn't mean that you or your relationship are doomed when there's one or a couple of these signs missing in your relationship. This is just meant for educational purposes. So the first sign is your partner isn't jealous. And I know jealousy can be quite a big thing. It doesn't mean that when your partner is jealous that that's like the biggest red flag and you have to break up. If they are willing to work on that, that's already a really good sign. But a jealous partner makes it pretty hard for you to really completely feel safe, express yourself, but also it stems from a lot of insecurity, which is not bad. It just makes it harder for a healthy relationship to really be there because when somebody is really jealous and they can really lash out when they're jealous, I mean, the reaction to that jealousy is very important also, not just the jealousy itself. When they do have that, it can be really hard for you to be completely open and honest with everything out of fear how they will react. So I think being honest is very important in a relationship. And, if you're gonna be together for the rest of your life, you will have difficult periods throughout your relationship. And I remember when I was in my crash state of the fearful avoidant attachment style, I was so afraid that I would fall in love with somebody else down the line. And my then boyfriend, now husband, had the most beautiful way of handling that. He said, well, that's okay. You can't control who you fall in love with or who you have feelings for, but you always have a choice, and you don't have to choose for me. I hope you do, but you don't have to. And that just gave me such a feeling of peace that he wouldn't get mad if I would have feelings for somebody else that you indeed cannot control. So jealousy is just, it's not something that will definitely break up your relationship. But if he would have reacted a different way, I probably would have started to hide very little things that weren't significant at all out of fear of his reaction, his jealousy. And that can start to kind of fester in the relationship. Again, I don't want to say that jealousy will break up your relationship, but it is something that is worthwhile working on. If your partner and you can get to a place where you're like, I love that you're with me, I love that you're choosing me, but you are not mine. I cannot determine that you have to stay with me. That just takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of maturity, really, to be able to say that. And because of that, your choice to be together continues to be a free choice. And that is just a beautiful thing that allows love to really, really flourish. Then another sign is that they try to really understand you. So when you explain something about yourself, they really listen and they really ask questions and try to get what that means about you and how they can relate to you. But also when you express your needs or when you express something they did that hurt you, are they really trying to understand you, or are they just, becoming defensive immediately and not really listening? This is actually something we had to work on in our relationship, because my husband had a hard time not becoming defensive. But when we are now more at that place where he can completely try to understand me, even in the moments where I explain something that he did that hurt me, because that is hard. That also takes so much maturity for you to be able to say, okay, I hurt you. I see that. I am just going to be with my emotions, which are probably like feeling guilty, feeling shame, feeling bad about myself. But I'm also just going to be with your emotions without trying to fix them to make myself feel better. I think there's a lot of people that didn't really learn this, but it's a beautiful thing to learn and to have in your relationship, uh, to have somebody be able to be present with you, with your pain, um, with your needs, and just try to understand you and who you are instead of this image that they have of you, of or what they want you to be. So that is a second sign. And the third sign is that they are able to say, "You're right," and "I'm sorry," genuinely. Because not being able to say you're sorry and that you're right, um, that can just kind of cause, how do you say, like small breakages, because you don't really get any further. If something happens and nobody is willing to say, "You're right, I did that, and I can imagine that hurt you, and I'm sorry, that I don't want to do that again, so how can I do that differently?" That's constructive. You can build on that and build on that and build on that. But if somebody is never willing to say, "You're right and I'm sorry," it's hard to build something, because if you're with a partner that never says, "You're right and I'm sorry," you you probably try to either take responsibility for everything and try to fix everything, or you just get really frustrated and feel like you aren't seen, aren't heard, aren't important enough. Even though it might come from their insecurity, it still is something that they might want to work on. Then the fourth sign is they don't have a set image of you. And I think this is really important, especially if you're talking about lifelong love, like a lifelong happy marriage, or relationship. If your partner has a set image of you, you have to be a certain way. Like, they want you to be an independent woman, or they want you to be a housewife. I mean, it could be any image, but they have a set image of you. It's going to be really hard to grow and evolve together throughout a whole life. That's a lot of years. That's a lot of phases you're going through. That's a lot of versions of both of you that could emerge. And when somebody holds on to a certain image, and usually this is also out of insecurity, out of fear of not being able to handle any other version, or being unhappy with any other version, um, when they can't when they can't when they are holding on to that image of you so tightly, you don't feel like you have the freedom to grow and really be yourself. Because no matter what age you get together or you get married at, whether that's 20 or 35, you still are going to grow, and you still are going to find yourself more and more. Maybe more so when you're 20, but even at 35, there's still so many things that might happen, and I mean, having children together is such a monumental big thing, and that can really um, ask you to grow in a certain way. And if your partner wants you to stay the same all the time, that will stifle the relationship and therefore the love that is between you. So having a partner that doesn't have a set image of you, or doesn't hold on to that image of you, uh, that is a really beautiful thing, and a really good predictor actually for lifelong happiness. Then another sign is that they are respectful of your boundaries and they try to fulfill your needs. And there is an emphasis on trying, because your partner is also just a person, and they can't fulfill every single one of your needs. They have their own things, they have their own insecurities, and it's beautiful if they want to work on that and work through that, to be able to fulfill your needs. But the fact that they won't be able to fulfill all of your needs doesn't mean that they don't love you. So them really listening to your needs and trying to fulfill them, even if it's in their own way and it's not exactly the way you want, that is a really good sign. And that is something that, you can work on together for the rest of your life. This is a process. It's not something that has to be perfect right now, um, which is very important to remember for the fearful avoidant who wants to have everything perfect right now. And then is respectful of your boundaries is, I think, quite obvious. If you say no for whatever reason, they have to respect that boundary, even if they don't understand, even if they don't know why you put up that boundary. It's not on them to judge whether that boundary is right or not. They just have to respect that boundary regardless. And then the last sign is that they are willing to work on themselves for the relationship. And this is hard. It's hard to change, but if you see your partner really trying and really being willing to work on the relationship, that is commendable. And that is a very good sign that you can build and invest. You hear me saying the word build a lot, right? In this video, because a healthy relationship is a lot of building and growing together and investing. You build a life, you build a marriage. It's not something, whether you get married or have a lifelong partnership, it's something you build. It's not something that, gets thrown in your lap like, oh, here it is, enjoy it for the rest of your life. Nobody on planet Earth ever had a marriage that they didn't have to work on, that they didn't have to invest in, that they didn't have to build. And having that mindset of building something together, building a life, building a marriage, building love, that will reap you so many benefits in the long run. So letting go of that control mindset of it having to be perfect right now and your partner having to be perfect right now, which causes you to probably judge your partner, be critical of your partner, be very disappointed with your partner. And instead go to that mindset of building and growing and saying, okay, this is me, this is what I need, this is them, this is what they need. How can we build this thing that we are having together, this relationship, this marriage, in a way that fulfills both of our needs? And that's a process, and sometimes it's a lifelong process. So that will much more definitely cause you to have a happy, long, fulfilling marriage or partnership for the rest of your life than demanding it be perfect right now. So a lot of this comes down to healing your attachment style, right? Because that need for control, that need for it having to be perfect right now, that all comes from fear and insecurity. And that's not a bad thing. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make this a bad relationship. It just means that you are looking for safety in the wrong places. And when you've healed the fearful avoidant attachment style, you will notice that it becomes so much easier to invest in a relationship and to actually build something. How much more satisfying that is than actually demanding it to be perfect right now and being disappointed pretty much all the time, because that's just not how it works. So healing the fearful avoidant attachment style will make all of this a million times easier. If that's what you want to do, check out the program, Healed and Happy. This is what we do. We go to the root causes of the fearful avoidant attachment style and we release them so that you don't have that weight of fear, of limiting beliefs, of wrong beliefs sometimes about how, lifelong marriages work. You don't let that destroy your relationship right now. You don't let that weigh down on your relationship right now. So healing the fearful avoidant attachment style, which doesn't have to take years and years and years. You can be in a completely different place in 3 months. That will really help you to start building and investing in your relationship and create the most beautiful, magical, deeply loving and passionate relationship for the rest of your life, which is what I wish for you. I am so curious to what you have to say about this, and whether you recognize these signs, whether you have these signs in your relationship. Please let me know in the comments below. And as always, I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one. Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style.